can have everyone's attention, we're going to get started now. Hello. Hello, folks. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to LA2M. My name is Jim Musial. I'm the VP of the board for LA2M, and I'm substituting for Derek Maribon today, who couldn't be here. He has a client engagement. But we wanted to welcome everybody to today's session. I know we have a few, but if I could see a show of hands of those that are here for the first time, or maybe haven't been here for a long time and coming back. So welcome to you guys. We appreciate you being here today. You're in for a real treat today. We got some great information that we're going to share with you today. LA2M is a nonprofit organization for those of you that are newer to the event, and we are run by volunteers, myself and Derek, and we have volunteers here, Roger, who does the video, and we are live streaming. So if you're ever not able to make it, you can always catch us on live stream, and we do archive those on our website. So if you want to go back and see another presentation that you enjoyed. Roger volunteers his time. Carter from Frog Print Studios is here taking pictures, and those will get posted on our Facebook page in short order when he gets caught up with as many other tasks that he has to do for photos. But and a little bit, just a quick format for those of you. I think you already know that you can order lunch from Conor O'Neill's. The menus are in front of you. I think most of you already have. For those of you who come in the door, you're welcome to order lunch, and we encourage you to have lunch and enjoy it while our speaker does his presentation. We're going to have probably about 30 minutes after we do these introductions, where Keith is going to talk to you guys, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. And then at the very end, if you would like to participate, we pass the microphone and let everybody introduce themselves. Let us know who you are, what company you're with, if you have an ask or need, or you're looking for something. It's a great place to share. And then you're welcome to stick around afterwards and network. We have the room for a while, so certainly get to know each other, and as you hear introductions, you'll maybe say, hey, well, I want to talk to that person, and make sure you find them afterwards and exchange a business card and make sure you make that connection. So that's how the format will go. Because we are a nonprofit organization, we rely on the help of sponsors. We have an annual sponsor right now, and that is Taxco Solutions. They're an accounting company. I actually have a little commercial here that Stephanie Belcher is their representative that usually comes, but because it is tax week, she's obviously buried and not able to be here today. So she sent me a little note and asked me if I would read it. So Taxco Solutions is more than just a tax office. They provide CFO and CPA services, as well as bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, tax preparation, financial and tax planning. They're fully invested with their clients and their client success. And they take a look at a company's big picture before even beginning in the accounting work. They can help answer complicated questions about asset management, growing or downsizing a business, hiring employees or vendors. So feel free to give them a call if you're looking for a true partner in finances. I do have their business cards in the back there, so afterwards, if you're interested. They also have this cool little checklist for businesses that help you with tax preparation. And it's just a nice little list. I've actually used it for myself, and it's a great little list to help remember some of the deductions that you can take as a small business. So certainly worth to talk to them. So we appreciate our annual sponsor. If your company is interested in a sponsorship, we also do monthly sponsorships as well. So if you have a product or service that you'd like to promote, it's a great opportunity to do that. So please see me afterwards if you're interested. We can discuss the different sponsorship opportunities that we have here at LA2M. So again, we thank you for being here today. We hope you come back. If you enjoyed today's presentation, and please share it with your coworkers and colleagues. We'd love to have them come back as well. We're here each month, and we have a great topic each month. So today's topic is a great one because we're all so attached to those little devices that are in our hands that we can't go anywhere without them, our mobile devices. But there's so much more, and there's so much more to mobility than just the little phones in our hands. And Keith Bourne here is with us today, and he is the senior developer at Jewel Health. And Keith has been around for many, many years here in the Ann Arbor area, and he has many accolades on developing. And I know he's going to tell you a little bit about his background and a little bit about what he does. But he's going to talk to us about everything mobile that's not necessarily about the phone in your hand. So if you could help me in welcoming Keith to LA2M, and we'll turn it over to him. So welcome.
Thank you. Everybody hear me all right? I'm a loud talker anyway, so even if my mic's not working, you can usually hear me. So yeah, I'm going to talk about mobile, everything that's not about the phone. At the point of my presentation, I could pretty much sum it up in just a couple sentences. Basically, mobile has gone far beyond the phone, and the time has really come for you to take advantage of everything else that mobile offers. So that's it. That's what I'm going to talk about. You can go home now if you want. But if you stick around, I'll elaborate a little bit more on what I'm talking about. So this slide's really just to get people to eat more, get some more sales for Conor O'Neill's. So mobile is not like donuts. That's not my point here. But one of the things that I think about when I'm doing these presentations for mobile is it's really difficult for me to stand up here and say, there's this one thing you should do with mobile that, basically applies to everybody out there. My experience with mobile has been that every mobile implementation is just as different as the companies that are implementing it. It's like these donuts, like they're all very different. And so for me to say, hey, this is what you should do with mobile, now go out and do it, you're going to be highly successful, it just doesn't work that way with mobile. And so that's one of the frustrating things, one of the limitations of talking about mobile. So what I like to do really is I provide examples of how people have done things in mobile, and so we'll get into those specifics here. One of the things that I like to harp on is that a lot of people like to think about how mobile relates to the web. And I think it has something to do with, like in the 90s, the web comes out, mobile was pretty much in its infancy, and then at some point, mobile came in the 2000s and really is taking on a lot of steam now. And so a lot of people think of it as like this linear progression from web to mobile, and I'm here to tell you that I really don't think that that's the way to think about it. I feel like mobile is its own thing. Whether or not you have a website, that's a different thing. And this isn't talking about mobile websites. If you have a website, it should be mobile friendly. That's a different thing. What I'm talking about is apps and mobile development and software and the things you can do with mobile to extend your services and what your business does. And so that's really kind of the final thing I want you guys to leave with today is just that I want you to think about mobile real seriously now and how it can truly improve what your business does and maybe even replace it in some cases. This is really sort of the best time to do this because mobile has really gone beyond the phone. Like I'm saying, it's to the point now where it can do a lot more for businesses because of these new technologies that I'll talk more about. So this is obviously from Matrix. It's how mobile is seeing the world now. It's reaching beyond the phone. It's starting to truly digitize the whole world. And when you start thinking about it in that way, you start looking through the mobile lens, you can start to kind of get a better idea of how mobile can enhance your business as well. So a little bit about me, just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from. I've been doing stuff in mobile since the 90s. Back when a lot of people were thinking about the web and not really thinking much about mobile. The technologies were fairly different back then. You had to partner with the networks to get anything done. You didn't have app stores, you didn't have smartphones, so it was a different world. Really the inflection point in my world of mobile was when the iPhone came out. This was really the point where the technology had reached a maturity that you could do a lot more with it. And of course, a couple of years later, Android hits the scene in a much bigger way, and now we have sort of this dominant market of iOS and Android. And that's really where I spent my time since 2007. Worked with a lot of different companies, doing a lot of different things. Like I said, like those donuts, it was different. Every single project was very different from the last one. There's little things you pick up on as you go, and you can carry them on to the next project. But every project is different. It's an extension of the business. And so, if you think about every business being different, so is the mobile project. I also am a founder of Mobile Mondays. This is an international organization that has meetings in hundreds of cities worldwide. We started the Mobile Monday Michigan chapter back in 2010, and we've expanded to, we've got Ann Arbor, Detroit, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, and we've got thousands of members there. So that's something that I've worked a lot on. I like to focus on sort of the new cool things in the field. As you probably know, not all of them pan out. Some of the things, we can look back and make fun of, but you always got to learn a little bit. If you're just willing to kind of take on the cutting edge, you learn a little bit about how new technologies come out, and when they do come out and really break ground in a big way, then you're there to see how it's going to benefit companies. My newest, coolest technology for me is really the wearables. They haven't quite taken off the way I'd hoped, but I'm still optimistic about where they're going. I bought a drone like the first day they came out, and that was a few years ago. They weren't as cool as they are now, and now they're finally hitting the scene now, where a lot of people are getting drones and using them in business applications, things like that. So even if it doesn't come out strong, someday it may be a new thing. So where I'm at today actually is I work with a startup in town called Jewel Health. We're somewhere over that way in the Argus building. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area here, but we're kind of like a little bit off of center of Ann Arbor. But we are focused on corporate wellness. And I'm not really here to talk about, like do a commercial for Jewel Health, but as it happens, Jewel Health is really doing something that's a great example of what I'm talking about today. So I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing. So version 1.0 of our app, which is really just released, we focus on corporate wellness. We're doing stuff, trying to like implement the coolest, newest research in what helps companies help their employees be more healthy. And one of the ways we do this is through mobile apps. We actually let the user track on a daily basis certain aspects of their life. So one of the things we call is you're tracking your space, which is sleep, presence, activity, creativity, and energy, or eating. And so you're tracking these things on a daily basis, and this is an important part of what we offer as a service. But as we've gone through this, we've done a lot of UX research. We're trying to do a lot of these things, like do it right in terms of how we're developing these mobile apps. And the UX research that we've done really has come out that like when a user really gets into our app and they're really taking it serious, when they're tracking this space, there is a bit of an anxiety there, because it's like, if you're tracking your sleep and your creativity and your eating, and you realize that the data that you're putting into this app, it really comes back in a lot of ways, provides you a lot of amazing feedback on how to improve your health. And so there's actually some anxiety, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with like user experience. You want to minimize anxiety, you want to meet expectations in a great way when users are going through your app. So with this app, there is this point where I'm tracking my sleep on a daily basis, and there's some anxiety in how was it really like this level, or was it this level, and so for us, this concept of reaching out into the real world with our app, this is where we're coming in on this, is where now like with all the different devices you have out there and sensors and everything else, and even the apps that can do some cool things with like sleep, we can actually track people's sleep, or we can track people's activities, or we can track their eating habits and things like that. And a lot of people are tracking these things in other apps with other devices. And so we don't want to get into the world of like competing with Fitbit and things like that. So what we do is we actually use a platform called Validic that helps us connect with all these different things that are coming out. Now Validic is the one that's worrying about the next 500 devices that are coming out next year for tracking different health-related things. They kind of standard all that through their platform, and then we connect it, and then we have sort of a standardized way to collect that data and present it in our app. And then ultimately what happens is the user, when they go in to track their activity or their sleep, then they have the data presented to them that gives them more of a quantitative way to just say, oh yeah, this is how I slept yesterday, this is how I sleep today, so now I'm going to put that here. Or this is, my activity, I had 20,000 steps yesterday, today I had 10,000, so I'm going to do half of my activity that I did yesterday when I'm reporting what my activity was. And that truly improves the user experience in a great way. And for us, if this app the user experience of this app will make or break this app, and that will make or break our company. So this was critical to us to get this into our app. And this actually hasn't even released yet into the wild. It's the first version of our app that's out there now, but this is coming up. This is what we're putting in. And again, this is reaching out into the real world with these different devices and getting that data into the app and allowing people to have better information when they're tracking their health. So that's one example. Another example, so Disney, I like to talk about Disney because they've always been really innovative in the mobile world. They actually had they had mobile apps before there was ever app stores for dumb phones, feature phones. They have continually sort of pushed the envelope in how they utilize mobile at their parks and from a marketing standpoint outside of the parks. So they're sort of the next generation for them is this, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Magic Pass. Basically it's this band that uses a lot of the technologies that I'm talking about to help tie the user to all the different services they bought before they went to the park. So if you have your Fast Pass, or I forget what they call it at Disney, but it's like the thing that gets you through the lines quicker, it knows that, it helps you get into your room, it does all those things. The one downside, we'll talk about this in this presentation, is that they actually aren't using this in a mobile app yet. I think it's just a matter of time before they do because all the technology is mobile enabled. It's stuff you can use in a mobile app. For whatever reason, they don't have it in the mobile app quite yet, but I think they're going to that point. But because of that, I'm actually going to talk about a company that's local that's doing something similar to Disney in terms of doing tours and things like that. But I think Disney's sort of like the top level example of this. But there's a local company that we work. I actually worked with Dave over here. He's here with Arbor. We worked on a project for Robin Hills that is an Android and iOS app, and it does utilize these technologies. Basically, we're using iBeacons at their farm, which is really set up as an eco tourist farm. And you go there and you take tours instead of going to rides and things like that. You're going around and getting a tour and learning information about how they do gardening for and make it eco-friendly and all these things. It's really a cool concept, and they're utilizing mobile to make that a much more friendly experience when you go to the farm, rather than just walking around or having to go find a guide or just going around and reading little posts that are static. This creates a much more interactive environment for the user. The messages about the different locations can actually be changed on the fly by the company. Again, they're going outside of the app. They're creating this whole tour using these sensors that are planted at their farm and creating just a whole new level of experience for their users. So that was example 2. Now example 3 is actually 3 more examples. One of the things that I think when you talk about mobile development, a lot of people tend to think of, well, that's going to cost a lot of money. I have to develop my own app. I have to do custom development, and that can be expensive. But a lot of people, I think, overlook the opportunities in COTS. And is anybody here familiar with what COTS means? Anybody know what that acronym stands for? I read something recently that said never use acronyms in presentations. They're just the worst. You can't use acronyms. So I'm just trying to shock the world here with COTS. But the idea here is commercial off the shelf. And so it's a fancy way to say third party, but it's sort of the one they adopted in mobile for whatever reason. But the idea here is that there's a lot of things out there that are relatively cheap to get into that can enhance your business in some sort of way, depending on whatever your business is. That's just something you go in, you pay like a monthly fee. Some of these services you can integrate with an app if you have one, but they're a great way to get into mobile and utilize mobile for your business without having to do your own custom development, and spend a lot of money doing that. So I'm going to talk about those, a couple different examples, and these are all local companies, which I think is cool. There's literally thousands of COTS services out there, and it really, again, this all comes down to what your company does, and And so, so there's just way too many examples for me to talk about in one presentation, but just again, to give you an idea of what different companies are using. I'm more focused probably, I guess, on the restaurant and retail area with these, but there's COTS for everything out there. Wisely is a company, these guys are actually downstairs from my company over at the Argus building. They had this cool concept where basically, I guess their pitch is that, as a restaurant, your return customers that come in, they represent a very large chunk of your revenues, usually like 50 to 60%. And so they basically provide a platform utilizing mobile and iBeacons and other types of technologies that are related to mobile. And then they use the app as sort of the central place, to connect with these technologies. And they provide ways for restaurants to cater to their valuable customers that are repeat customers. They send you notifications. They send you the restaurant notifications when somebody has shown up that is a repeat customer, and they allow you to offer deals to them to bring them back. And they do all these things that basically help you to target your customer base that represents the by far the majority of your revenues. So I think that's a really cool concept. Again, these guys are right here in town. FlockTag is another company that does something. They're also more in the restaurant space. They're focused on more like loyalty programs for the user, but then they also have this concept where it's like a group of restaurants together that they're doing different things. They're not really competing with each other, but when users go to these different restaurants, they typically fall into certain profiles. And so if you are someone that likes to go to pizza places on Tuesdays, we may find that you like to go to coffee shops on Wednesdays. And so those patterns are picked up on. And then you're able to utilize, as the coffee shop, you're able to utilize that marketing pattern and actually market to those people and say, hey, we noticed that you're probably a good candidate for getting coffee, so come on over here, we'll offer you a deal. And so there's this whole back end in terms of marketing to these groups. Yep.
Keith, with those type of programs, are they then push notifications to the consumers?
Notifications and emails, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So is it instantaneous, I guess is what I'm asking? With Wisely, aren't that like if you walk in the door?
Yeah, so it depends on what it is. So like with Wisely, you walk in the door and there's a beacon there that picked up on that you're this person that's been here 30 times this last year, and it sends you a note. And actually, if you go back to, you see on the note, there's like the 42 loyalty visits, right? So like, yeah, that person has been to, I didn't say where he is on that, but like Monty's uses this, right? So like, he's been to Monty's 42 times. This guy is like our ideal customer. He comes back, we know, he spends a lot of money and that kind of thing. So that's an instant one. The FlockTag one is more along the lines of sending a note, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, depending on what your program is, and it allows you to it's more like email marketing or push notification marketing from that standpoint. Yeah.
I imagine there's some form of opt-in.
Yeah. There's permission layers and opt-ins and things like that. So. And of course you can opt out as well once if you feel like you're being annoyed. But these programs work well for the user. They provide a lot of value in terms of if you do fit that profile that you're going to go to a coffee shop on Wednesdays, and the coffee shop's right next to the pizza place you always go to, because you work downtown, you're always walking over there, and they say, hey, come try us, or we'll give you a half off on your next latte or whatever. Then it fits well, and the users really truly fall into some very predictable patterns in terms of where they like to go and things like that, and so those predictive patterns are utilized, and it's improved the marketing for those restaurants just significantly. And this is, the lifeblood is these restaurants and bringing in new customers. So it's kind of interesting. Wisely is, catering to the existing customer, FlockTag's catering to getting new customers. And so if I'm a restaurant, I think it's a no-brainer to use both of them and bring in the customers and then get them in, get them to become ongoing customers and use Wisely for that. So. And then this is another group. They're not in Ann Arbor, but they're in the local area. I don't know if anybody familiar with Carrot Pass. I think they're in Royal Oak or somewhere near here. But they also they're kind of interesting because I feel like they're sort of a cross between these previous two companies and Jewel Health that we do, because they're doing, but they actually are expanded more to all of retail, not just restaurants. But they provide like loyalty points for doing things in terms of like corporate wellness, having a lot of activity and you get points for that, and then you can go and redeem those points at their merchant partners. And then at the merchant partners are using iBeacons to detect when you've come into the retail place and say, hey, you just came into so-and-so or clothing store, and so here you can, here's a 10% off coupon. For that if you trade in for your 20,000 steps that you took the other day or something like that. So they're basically they cater to, they go to corporate wellness groups, and they bring in their business from that standpoint, and the corporate wellness groups encourage their employees to use this to basically to help with with healthcare. But then also they're they'll cater to the merchants, and the merchants get more customers out of it. So there's a lot of different players with this app. But again, they're using these technologies that aren't in the phones, but the phones are picking up on them, and then they're allowing the companies using these technologies to reach out to their customers in new ways. So that's my concept. You got a question?
Is Carrot checking, are they the ones that are doing how many steps? Are they also tracking out for the fitness?
They're doing similar stuff to what I was talking about with Jewel, where they're using, I actually think that they're directly integrating with, say, Apple's Health Kit, which so the way it works with the two major platforms, iOS and Android, they've got their health parts of their app or their devices, right? So they've got these libraries that represent the health stuff, and they actually provide the central place for other apps to put that health data in and get other health data out of it. So if you do use Map My Run, you can say connect to HealthKit, and it will put all your runs in there. And then if you use another thing to track other health related stuff, but you can pull in the calories you burn on your run, and then it'll bring that in, and and then factor in okay, now you can eat 200 more calories a day because you burned 400 calories when you were running, and things like that. So these two platforms provide this sort of central piece that connects these things. So these guys are connecting to that and pulling that data out.
Amazing. So the corporate group will say, hey everyone, download this. They'll download Carrot. I'll click just a button that says, okay, track my steps.
Right.
And Carrot, as far as they know, it's just Carrot, but they're working with those libraries.
Right.
And it's giving them surfacing how many points you've got in Carrot from reading from that library. Right.
And then when you go to the merchants that are partnered with them, then they say, hey, you've got a Carrot Pass, you can get, use your points here. And so that's, and that's using the iBeacon technology that a lot of these other groups are using. So and the thing is, I think a lot of people, when you hear iBeacon, it's like your eyes start to shut down. And like iBeacons are really simple. They're really just this little device that's sitting there saying, I'm here, over and over and over again. And the tricky part really is on the app side, where basically it's what do you do with that information. So you pick up on that and you say, okay, I just detected an iBeacon. You can detect the proximity, so you can tell if someone's really close or far away. You typically say, okay, let's try to do different things. If somebody's right next to it versus if somebody's you're far from it, maybe 20 meters away. And you can do different things, and you can detect if people are coming or going, and say, hey, have a good day, or welcome to so-and-so store and stuff like that. But all of that's done on the app. all the beacon's really doing is saying, hey, I'm here, and then you basically are using that signal in the logic you put into the app. So iBeacons are really not that complicated. I think a lot of people get scared because it's like this new technology and stuff like that, but it's a fairly simple technology that you can do some really cool stuff with. Yep.
Can you spell it, please?
iBeacon is IBEACON. So it's a beacon, and that's really what it is. I mean, it's a great name because that's what it represents. And there's actually there's another platform that's really coming up strong is Eddystone. It's like iBeacon, but you actually don't need to go through the app to use it. So that's sort of the newest version of this. iBeacon is a Apple technology, and a lot of people have jumped on it because they really were the first ones to get it out there, and or get something out there that's been well adopted. And but it's not the only one you can use, and I think there's going to be new technologies coming out that could potentially replace iBeacon, but they do this essentially the same thing. And there's some smarter things you can add to it and stuff like that.
Is iBeacon app specific, or does it cut across as many apps as ones that interact with it?
It typically is app specific. Some of these things, like, so you can actually, so some of the approaches that you can do, you can actually connect to iBeacon networks and use that kind of information for different things. If you want to come out with an app that like detects iBeacons that are related to car dealerships for some reason, like just to detect there are actually or websites out there that will give you information on where iBeacons are for specific things, and you can use that kind of stuff. But in terms of like what I'm talking about here, basically there's an iBeacon that people they know, like the signal that comes out of it has an ID associated with it, and then that ID is basically used by the app. The app knows that ID is what it wants to see, so it doesn't get confused with other iBeacons, and then uses that whatever logic that it wants to use.
But can your app, anybody's app, use any iBeacon?
In theory, yes, but you would have to know like IDs and in theory, yes. But yeah.
So the beacons are typically unencrypted, so anybody can read them. And one of the problems and issues that are coming up is, let's say you're in Sears, your Best Buy app can detect that you're in the Sears store. If it knows what Sears iBeacons are, they can give you a coupon or something to get you over to Best Buy instead.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's open. And has anybody actually come out and done that yet?
I don't know.
I mean, there's like the potential for it, right? But yeah. And that's the thing too. And so actually, when you're picking, you can actually, if you get the iBeacon that has the capability, you can change the ID. And I tend to want to go that way if I'm buying an iBeacon, because like some iBeacons I think you buy, you're stuck with the ID that it has, and you can't change it, and that can be problematic. So I think if you ever go out and buy iBeacons, you want to have it's called the UDID, but you want to be able to change that. But it's possibly for some situation like this and something else. And also, if one dies, you want to be able to swap them out and change the UDID to what the old one was and things like that. But it's but yeah, you can detect this, and if you know what it's all you're getting from the iBeacon is an ID. But if you know what that ID is associated with, you can do what you want with it. Which really, I think, in my mind, creates a whole other like concept of app potential that you can use, right? Like if I mean, not to do something too competitive, like where Best Buy and Sears are stealing, stealing things, but to have an app that knows like what Best Buy is and what Sears is, and be able to do something where you're actually being able to say, hey, you went to these different stores, maybe you're looking for this, or have some sort of like shopping suggestion app or something like that. Like you can utilize this for something like that, But that would be your business, right? That's a little bit beyond, but it's in this world is changing very rapidly too. Like I said, there's this concept of the iBeacon that you don't need to connect. So one of the I think one of the big limitations of an iBeacon is that you have to have the app to connect to that iBeacon in order, like so a lot of times, like when we were talking with clients, it'd be like, so can the user just, we have iBeacons in our stores now, can the user just know that we have this iBeacon? And like, no, not unless they download your app. And that's a limitation that, a lot of people can get beyond, but some of the new stuff coming out is basically the idea is that you don't have to have that. And then the other thing is like if you're using somebody like Carrot, you can get around that limitation because as long as they have the Carrot app, then they know that they have the iBeacon. Your iBeacon in your store will work on the Carrot app, but they still do have to download the Carrot app. So that's one of the challenges in this area. But if you have an app and you can get somebody to download it and you have the iBeacon stuff, then that's how you utilize it. And so the other thing that I want to say too is like iBeacons, that's a sensor basically in a lot of ways, or I guess your sensor in your device is sensing the iBeacon, but we're basically talking about sensors, and this is just one example of sensors, but sensors can be weight, they can be temperature, they can be all kinds of different things. You can put sensors on basically anything out there, and that's one of the things that I talk about next here, but like that whole concept is called the Internet of Things. And so probably if I'm talking here, you're probably thinking, is he just talking about the Internet of Things? And the way I look at it, and in the Internet of Things, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this concept, but the idea is that these sensors are going to be everywhere on everything, detecting stuff in the real world and bringing that data back to the web and through mobile. And like right now, I've got a cool app. I can open and close my garage. I can see when my garage door opens and closes, so I know like when my daughter gets home from school, she always goes to the garage door, so I know she's home. It sends me a little notification, stuff like that. That's part of the Internet of Things. But I wouldn't want anybody to be able to utilize that and what I'm talking about here, because that would freak me out. That's like I don't want anybody to know when my garage door is opening and things like that. So to me, that's a little bit, that's part of the Internet of Things, but that's outside of what I'm talking about with mobile. To me, I'm talking about this Venn, if you use the Venn diagram concept, like Internet of Things is here, mobile is here. What I'm talking about is where those two areas meet. A lot of people are scared with privacy concerns and stuff like that this is going to creep way over into here, and that's where a lot of the privacy concerns comes in. That's a whole nother discussion. I think there are some valid concerns there, but for the most part, I'm saying from a legitimate service standpoint, let's stay out of controlling people's garage doors and detecting things like that. But there's a lot of things you can detect with this that fall well within the range of being able to enhance your what your business does. So it's not just the Internet of Things that I'm talking about. It's basically one subsection of it of where it crosses over with mobile. So my point today, from this presentation standpoint, was just wasn't so much to tell you specifically what you can do with these new technologies, because like I said, there's thousands of solutions out there. It's very specific to what you do and what your company does. But that's your starting point. If you start to think about what I really would like you to do is leave here today thinking about what is it that my company does that we can do better with mobile? How can we improve the services to our customers? How can we make what we do like bring more value through the different things that mobile are? Has nothing to do with the web. It's just specifically what these devices can do. And so that's what I'll leave you with is that was my goal today, so hopefully I've got you thinking. But the next step is on you guys, in what you do when you leave here. So good luck with that. I'm happy to answer questions. I think we had a Q&A session, and if you don't want to ask them out loud, feel free to come and talk to me. I love talking to people about this kind of stuff. So after everything's done here, I'm happy to have people pick my brain and everything else. So.
Please join me first of all in thanking Keith for his time. We probably have about 5 or so minutes for questions, so if you have a question, we'd just like to share.
So you mentioned that you can integrate with Carrot. Do you have to be like a really big company like MyFitnessPal or something like that to integrate with them, or could you be like a local fitness company
You can be anybody. The way it integrates really is you would integrate. So this is assuming you have like a device or an app that collects information in some way. But what you would do is you would connect to and integrate with the health platform. So on Apple, or on iOS, that's HealthKit. On Android, what's Android? Fit or Android's got one too. But you connect to those, and then that data is stored there, and that handles permissions for users. Like whenever an app connects to that to get that data, the user has to give that app permission to go get it. And so that's the great thing about those platforms, is it provides that central place for this sort of like hanging off of data. That you give that handshake element within that. So that way you don't have to go out to every single vendor and say, okay, I want to integrate with Fitbit, I want to integrate with MyFitnessPal, all this stuff. You can just have it all centralized. And so MyFitnessPal actually puts their information in this, and so you can get it out if you get that access as well. If you want to cross sort of like utilize like one of the things I think you see with the steps stuff is like it's all over the board how these different apps track steps. And so one of the things is it gets in there. It kind of helps to standardize that concept to a certain extent. So it helps from that standpoint as well.
All right, do we have another question? Keith, I have a quick question then. iOS versus Android. So if companies are working on, say, some type of incentive program, and they want to build an app that goes along with that, I mean, is there one better than the other? Is it just preference, or is it devices, obviously?
I think what we really, it's the old it depends answer, right? But it really depends on your market, and you really want to get to know your market. If you find, let's say if I'm going after the health, the medical field, right? And like all doctors I've ever met have iPhones. I very rarely meet anyone in the medical field that has an Android phone. And so if I'm going after that specific field, pretty good chance you're going to want to go with iOS first, and you might not do Android. I don't know. You might, you have a very small case for doing Android in that field. There's other fields though where it's the opposite, right? So you really want to know your market, and it's not. I don't think it's that hard to go out and get that information. You just go out and meet enough customers, just find out like what phones that they have.
Your analytics should tell you what devices sell to your
right. Well, the trick there though is you're not going to have your analytics until you have the app.
We're based on a website.
The website, yeah. If you have a website, if you're lucky enough to have analytics, on the devices, then that's great. The other trick though isn't even the other. I think the next level where you start to think about this stuff is then you want to start thinking like, well, what do I support? On iOS, I feel like it's an easier question to answer because most people upgrade their apps. So you have the different versions of iOS and Android. And so with iOS, it's a little bit easier. You typically want to support, obviously, the latest platform, but you don't have to go too far back. Android, it's a nightmare because people still are on very old versions of Android that are 4 or 5 years old, are still very commonplace in the marketplace. And the cost to develop for those, increases. Like the rule of thumb is like by 20% for every step you go back. And right now, most people are going back 7 or 8 steps. So it's so it's not just even like which one to do, but it's like which one do you do and then at what level do you support it. So.
All right, any other questions? Okay.
Hi there. So we're from Safe House Center, so our mobile needs are pretty dramatically different from what most people in this room have. Namely, especially when you're talking about being able to track the location, like your garage example. For survivors who come through our doors, that's like terrifying. That your assailant would be able to track where you are at any given time. Are you home? Are you not home? Why did the garage door open? Are there ways that in reverse you can use your mobile device to block any of that ability to track?
And what are they tracking? Because there's a lot of different ways of tracking.
Right.
So,
so we deal with survivors of domestic violence and
right,
sexual
right.
assault. And one of the major things that assailants do is they essentially track their prey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they want to know where you are, why were you there. Oftentimes it's a precursor to violence. If you have a PPO, that doesn't really mean much. So, they'll sort of track your location, and if you just Google how to stalk someone, there's hundreds of apps you can use to stalk someone.
Yeah.
So, are there ways to kind of use your device to make those not, if you're good enough in technology, I'm sure you can use your, shopping.
I mean, you
app.
can turn that all off. The trick is, I think it's at the, it's not the technology that's the limitation there. It's like if you turn it off, and there's already some sort of friction there, like, well, why did you turn it off? Like then you get into the whole, like, well, I want to be able to track you where, I'm not familiar with the field, with that area as much, but I imagine that people that are, in domestic violence are very controlling, and technology is a way that people are controlling other people. And so, you can turn it off, but then I think that raises the whole thing, like, why'd you turn it off? Where'd you do? Where'd you go? When you turned it off, and if the abusive person is taking advantage of the technology, then there's probably a good chance that there's going to be some friction there. But certainly you can turn it off.
Right. Okay.
That's
There's
not.
nothing on the marketplace as far as that can either track locations or mess up those kind of things.
Exactly, you want one way, you
That's-
can
yeah.
just override it, move the markers to where you want it to be at the time, and it'll send everybody else that data, right?
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of course, it depends on how they're doing it. So, like Apple has a Find My Phone, or what's it called? It's something like Find My Phone, right? But you can use that to track. So my wife and I use this stuff to like know where we're at, so we don't have to call each other. Like I know when she's picking up the kids and all that stuff. Like we actively track each other on purpose so that we
stalk your wife.
Yeah, so we stalk each other, but it's all good. Everybody knows what's going on. Yeah, exactly.
It just got real creepy.
But I don't think you can turn off. You couldn't fake the data going into Apple. Like they're going to block that. It's like that app is sandboxed from other apps, and I don't think they're going to provide a way to get fake data into that or anything like that. So that's something, yeah. Even if you could come up with an app that does that. Now, if they're using other apps that they're somehow tracking people's, like it's interesting. Some of the things that you're doing, like you really want to think about this from a privacy standpoint. It's like what your app is telling people. Some people just turn on like something that like will tweet every time they go to, a restaurant or something. It's like, man, that's scary to me. Like I don't know if you really want to use that. It just kind of depends on how open you are. But with that's something that stalkers can use and things like that. And there's been all kinds of examples. I think Foursquare. There's a lot of examples of where Foursquare was being used by people stalking people and using it to find out where they are. And there's even I think there's pranks for Foursquare where they were calling people up at the restaurant and saying, "I know where you are." They were doing it as a joke, but it was freaking people out, obviously, and they were basically just using Foursquare to see where these people were checking in, and they knew exactly what they were doing at all these times. And that's just scary to me. But.
All right, so that sounds like a topic that we need to get away from. Right?
Yeah.
So again, if you join me in thanking Keith again for the information that he shared today. As Keith said, we'll be happy to stick around, so if you have some more questions or a little more in depth that you'd like to talk personally with, Keith will hang around for a few minutes. So we've got about 12 minutes or so, and this is part of the program where we get the opportunity to introduce ourselves. Stand up, introduce yourself. If you have an ask or a want, share that with us, and hopefully we get around the room in about 12 minutes. Roger, can I ask you to start there? You want to go on this side? Would anyone here like to start us and introduce yourself and say hello? Stand up.
Hi, I'm Rose Richards, and I work for Bill Crispin Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Debbie Crispin from Bill Crispin Chevrolet. I've come here before, and you always have good information, so thank you very much. It is kind of creepy. What I was hearing from you, I would tell you guys, trust me, I come to learn, so I don't know a lot. Tell that person to shut off their location services until you get it figured it out.
Hi, I'm Alicia Glazier from Secure Visibility.
Pull it out. Sorry about that.
I'm Alicia Glazier from Pure Visibility. We do digital marketing. We're down the street. Yeah, with the wonderful world of beacons, we've done a lot of research about this, and it's just crazy, the ideas that you can come up with, and different useful things for the consumer. It's really exciting.
Hello, I'm Nicole. I'm also at Peer Visibility as an intern, and I assist with all things digital marketing.
Hi, I'm Joey Neal from Fitness Finders in Jackson.
Sarah Pressbridge-Gruniewicz from the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority, a business analyst.
Hello, I'm Lainey Henson and with Nabisco. I'm R.C. Greenfield. I have a company called Savor Ann Arbor. We lead custom tours around town, and I just created an app. All my tours on it using a small company in Midland. A couple created an app called Map and Tour to lead their Boy Scouts around on tours by themselves, and I took advantage of that, so thank you.
Great. Hi, I'm Gavin Todd with Shop Window, and we do interactive digital marketing.
Hi, I'm Mary Stachek, and I'm with The Bride.
My name is George Pariseau. I'm a video producer. My studio's name is Brainstream Creative. Because I've worked in the creative services industry for 15 years, including public broadcast, I've learned a couple things. So while you're developing a budget for one video, I'm thinking about how we can make 4 with the same amount of time, effort, and resources. Real quick, I have 2 things coming up. Next Tuesday, the 20th, around 7 p.m., I'm doing a live video stream, and this is for people who run small businesses that might be doing video in-house. And the title of that is 9 Costly Mistakes to Avoid when Producing Video, when using video to generate leads. Next month, on May 11th, I'll be giving a presentation at the Ann Arbor Visual Interest Group. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Carlisle on Jackson Road. The title of the presentation is Beyond YouTube and Vimeo, Private Video Hosting for Videographers and Marketers. I'm going to give you a general overview. It's going to be as limited jargon. Oh, sorry. Yeah, anyway, I'll tell you more about that later. Thanks, Jim.
See George.
Hello, my name is Bob O'Brien. I'm an independent consultant working in technology markets and technology market research.
Hi, I'm Stacy with Dollar Bill, your local digital print shop. We print flyers and business cards and all of that. But I was laughing at this because, you know, a few weeks ago or a month ago, I got in the car and it said, "You'll be home in 20 minutes." And I'm like, how does it know I'm going home? But it was time to go home. And then I get in the car in the morning, it says, "You'll be to work in 20 minutes. I'm like, how does it know? And I'm like, oh, it's just because it's morning and night. And then the other day I get in the car after I'm already home, and it says you'll be in Saline in 9 minutes because it knows I go to work out after I get home. So there's a bug in my phone.
Hi, I'm Linda Fitzgerald Communications. I'm a freelance copywriter and content developer, and I'm also coming out with my first mystery novel in a couple of months, Death at the Doorstep. So if you're interested in mysteries, please check it out. And I'm also a member of the Safe House Marketing Committee, who is represented here today.
My name is Kim Burkle, and I'm also here with the Marketing Committee for the Safe House Center. And we were drawn to this presentation because we were evaluating our website and realized that we need to make it mobile friendly. So that's where we are, and we learned a lot here to keep. On a personal note, I'm preparing to launch a new business that is going to be project-based community relations. So stay tuned, and looking forward to that. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Alana Shaley, and I'm from the Safe House Center. You pretty much said it all. We're just trying to evaluate all of our different mobile and technology options at this point.
My name is Kate McEwen. I'm the Director of Development at Safe House, and I have really nothing to add.
My name is Scott Spencer, and I'm with Fitness Finders in Jackson.
My name is Jordan Beecherman. I do the marketing and promotions at Dexter Buildings.
My name is Eric Shapiro. I'm on Rayle Corporation. We do mobile app development.
Hi, my name is Dave Koziel. I have a company called Arbor Software. We're the 3rd largest mobile developer in Michigan, and we have built more than a dozen projects using these technologies Keith's been talking about, and we're happy to work with you on a project, both big and small.
Hi, I'm Robin Whitty. I work in the marketing department at Washington Community College.
I'm Angela Hill, and work in the marketing department at Washington Community College.
Hi, I'm Logan Hurtado. I work at Fitness Finders in Jackson, do marketing and video work.
Hello, Donna Riley. I'm independent marketing consultant.
Hi, I'm Melanie Delvecchio, and I work at Washington Community College as another marketing manager.
And Diane Waterhouse, Washington Community College Marketing Manager.
I'm Roger Rayle. I'm a venture catalyst. I help with a lot of networking groups. And the key word there is networking, so thank you. What is it? Fitness Planners in Jackson, because there were 3 of these guys sitting together. I said, when you come here as a group, don't sit together because you only have one table at your meeting. You spread your numbers, then you leverage your numbers, plus the other people at the table meet more than just 1 or 2 groups. I'm talking to you. Yep. Anyway, another networking group I help with is Ann Arbor Video Interest Group that George already mentioned. Tonight is our April meeting, and we're going to be talking about how to create documentaries, some of the initial steps. So that meets every second Wednesday of the month. A2vig.org is the. And we got about 20 people, 24 people already coming. I got to call and make sure they have enough seats for us. So I go back into anonymity starting this month because I was featured on the front page of a couple of publications. Yeah, it's but I'll try to remain more anonymous.
I'm Carter Shoreline from Print Studios. I'm a commercial editorial photographer, sometimes videographer, drone pilot. If you're a runner or a golfer, you've probably seen, if you're a runner, you've probably seen me like that with a big lens in front of me. Or if you go to golf tournaments, I'm usually for the pro tournaments when they come out, as the LPGA is going to be here next month, the end of next month.
Yeah, I'm coming right back to you. Keith doesn't want me to introduce myself again. So again, I'm Jim Musial. In addition to my responsibilities with LA2M, I'm also a digital strategist and consultant, and I work with small businesses and help them with their web and mobile development as well as marketing strategies. So Keith is going to hand the microphone to him since he obviously shocked us with his other way.
Yeah, no, I don't want to touch that.
But again, one more time, thank you to Keith for coming out today and sharing the information.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to be giving the same talk at Mobile Monday on whatever the first Monday of May is. I think it's the May 5th or 2nd? That's right, yeah, it's early this time. So May 2nd, actually at Arbor Moon Software over here on Ashley and Ann, right next to where Duo is. I'll be giving the same presentation, so you probably don't want to come out, but if you know other people that would be interested in hearing what I said, please let them know, and they can come out and hear sort of the encore version of this presentation. So. Thanks.
Okay, so our next session is May 11th. It's a little over under a month from now, and most of you probably know, but Shamir Rosary will be our speaker next month. He's got some great marketing tips that he's going to share with us. Shamir has been coming to LA2M for a number of years. He's a developer from Israel who's made a good impact here in the Ann Arbor area, and he'll have a lot to share. So hopefully you had a great time today. Welcome to our new visitors here today. We hope you come back again, share with your colleagues and coworkers, and we'd love to see you all back here again next month. So everybody have a great day. Thank you for coming today.
I got, from Jackson.